Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? Y'all know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey, the commish. We got a show for y'all today. It's going to be informative. We're going to basically, we got some stuff to talk about, good, bad, or different. But we here, week 15 in the NFL. Of course, I got our boy CC, the people's coach. He's in the building. I'm very sure Sean Bishop will pop up. And then we got special guests, of course, Gerald Johnson coming to us, founder of Volunteer Vets, in which we're going to end up finding plenty about. Gentlemen, what's good this morning?
How you doing? What's going on?
You got it. I'm ready.
I'm sure you are. So, of course, before we get, you know what? I'm very sure we was having a little conversation before we got on, in which we can talk a little bit about before we get into the inception of Volunteer Vets. First of all, Coach, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself. I'm not Coach. Gerald, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Of course, my name is Gerald Johnson. I'm a retired Navy chief. Just retired last year in 2023. Founded Volunteer Vet in 2022. Since that time frame, I've been doing various things all around the country and working with NFL stadiums, MLB stadiums, minor league baseball stadiums, and things like that, and bringing opportunities to military and veterans that want to get involved in different volunteer activities, fundraising activities, and things like that, as we build and work our way towards the ultimate goal for things that I want to do for volunteer vet, and that's helping eradicate food insecurities for our veterans, homelessness issues and things like that. Those are all goals of volunteer vet. And of course, other different types of community outreach, and that's what we've been doing and working towards so far. And it's been going good. So very blessed to see where it's going, and excited to see where we'll continue to go.
So let's say in this vein, right quick. So what in the act that you to start Volunteer Vets? Did you volunteer for an event or something and think that it was a lack? What was your motivation for Volunteer Vets?
So I mean, throughout my whole entire military career, I've always been in the community. I always coordinated community service events, where there was food drives, things like that. I think during my time being stationed in different places across the country, when you're doing these different community service events and things with the homeless, food drives and things like that, you get to talk to the people that are actually the recipients of these events. And while talking to these people, I found out that they was veterans, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody got different stories. And then it blew my mind. I'm like, man, that's me, or that's somebody else, that I work alongside. It could be any of us. So as I moved through my career, I just started to see it, and then the disparity everywhere was just, it's overwhelming, especially like in places like in Los Angeles. So I wanted to make sure that I did something to, help combat that, and help our veterans out, because it's definitely a dire need. And once I got closer to retirement, I just formulated a plan, um, different ways that I could actually carry out that mission, and it was through sports.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes sports. Sports bring everybody together. So it was a good way to do it, a good way to raise funds and things like that, and that's how Volunteer Vet was basically born.
Oh, okay. So has it been when you look at it, the trials and tribulation, has it been more than you thought it would have been, or has it been kind of like what you thought as being as the get this going?
Uh, I think a little bit of both,
Okay.
because once I started it, I had a grand vision of what I wanted Volunteer Vet to be, but it still took a life of its own, and a lot quicker and more than I anticipated, at the time. So uh, yeah, definitely. I didn't expect for things to go so fast. Because being a veteran, it hold a lot of weight when it comes to a lot of things. So a lot of
Correct.
the red tape that you would say that you would have to go through to do a lot of things in the nonprofit world, and as far as being tax free organization and things like that, it was fast track. What I mean, for volunteer vets. So that was a blessing. And you get a lot of people that are willing to help, in the journey. So that's been fantastic.
So do you have a favorite team or a favorite place in which you prefer to go currently as you've been doing this? Like, you know what, I've always where you feel like you always going to pull up to engage about the community service or volunteer opportunities
I can't really say it's a favorite place because volunteer vet is nationwide and we everywhere.
everywhere.
So,
Okay.
but I think one of my favorite places to do I can't really say because everywhere I go, it's different. It's different type of different type of vibes. Like right now,
Okay.
we doing a lot of stuff in New Orleans. We do stuff in Los Angeles. We just started doing stuff in Dallas this year. So we do stuff in Virginia, North Carolina, etc. But I think the best part for me is I get to interact with different service members, from all branches, depending on where it's at. It could be Air Force in Colorado. It could be Coast Guard in Baltimore, Navy in Los Angeles, or whatever the case may be. And it's just good, because I can relate to what they trying to do. They trying to raise funds
Mhm.
for whatever organization or whatever they trying to do, and it's just been good. It's just been good to interact with them. So I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I'll be doing some stuff with Philadelphia. Hopefully, next season and things like that. But
Okay.
a favorite place, I don't know. I'm a lover of humanity, so to speak. So no matter where I go and I see the need and I get to meet people and we get to do good things in those specific communities. So it's really no favorite.
Okay.
So
And so
when you say, I got a question. So when you
go ahead.
say
Go
through
ahead.
sports, what do you exactly mean?
So through sports. So when I say through sports, it's through fundraising. So what Volunteer Vet does is we partner with stadiums and arenas all across the country. Say like we'll have a contract with SoFi Stadium, AT&T Stadium, some minor league baseball teams, etc. And the people that volunteer with Volunteer Vet, whether they fundraising or whether they volunteering, they'll go and they'll work an event at those events. They'll be at a Rams Chargers game or at a Cowboys game or at Colorado Rockies game, so to speak. And they get to be in those sporting environments. So a lot of times when a lot of organizations they have they fundraising goals, it's harder to get into those type of venues because you have to have certain requirements in order to be fundraise in those venues, and the amount of actual opportunities are smaller, to get into those venues and things like that. So what Volunteer Vet does is we bring those opportunities to veteran and military groups and other groups too as well, but give them the opportunity to do things that they sometimes might not have the opportunity to do.
Okay, okay.
So in a transition, speaking of opportunities, I'm very sure y'all all caught the Heisman Trophy voting, ceremony last night, in which, of course, Colorado Buffaloes received their second Heisman Trophy candidate and winner. Of course, the first being Rashawn Salam, running back 30 years ago, unfortunately, has expired and perished a couple of years back. Travis Hunter now, and as well as a defensive or two-way player. You know what? Speaking of it, was Charles Woodson considered a two-way player, or was he just a defensive player? Because he was more of a special team as opposed to a wide receiver. Am I correct?
Uh,
He played both sides of the ball, like and quite frequently in meaningful games. So that qualifies as a two-way player, right?
yeah.
Like,
I just, as we know, as I was talking to Gerald before we got on CC, we talked last night. I talked with Sean last night. So what I was told, what I see yesterday or last night is that volume, if I have volume, I can sit up and be considered a volume with impact. I can be considered a I'm not going to say utilize the example that I used last night on the air, but that's basically what that's telling me. If I have a consistent amount of see,
jokes
there you go,
already.
Dre, already. Here you go, Dre, already. You choosing violence early this morning already. That a volume player can enact enough of garner enough um, energy to where they get picked up and seen, and now they're up for the Heisman. That's what I was told last night, because consistently the numbers don't match, in my opinion. When you look at the numbers don't lie, and I'm not just saying Genty is close to breaking.
You and your numbers, man. Look.
Analytics,
it's the
baby.
eye test. It's about fans. It's about paying attention. It's about seeing what move what. It's about the level of competition. It's like it's the level of competition. It's like take your favorite sport, the sport you talk about, like your Lakers, your whatever. The two best players ever in history from that squad were volume shooters. Kareem touched the ball a whole lot and took a lot of shots. Kobe took a lot of shots. The GOAT MJ took a lot of shots. Peyton Manning has better numbers than Tom Brady if you really look they dive inside the numbers, but who the GOAT? But who's the GOAT? So sometimes them numbers are misleading and can be misconstrued. You say they don't lie, but they do, because they puffed up. They puffed up because this guy played Nevada. He didn't play Penn State. He didn't play Tennessee. He didn't play
Oregon.
Oh, he didn't play Ohio State. He played one good team, and they lost that game. Oregon, but they still lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you lose by one.
Like I said, yes, they still lost, but they showed they was there. David Goliath. He didn't get to slay the dragon, but David the Goliath definitely know he was in the building. So it's like one of those things. Like, they lost, like you said, they lost 27-24 or something like that. But they lost by 3 points to who is currently the number one, who has held the number one spot for since week 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's so what I look. Yeah, so when you look at it, it's just one of those things where I get your argument that they play lesser talent, right? Regardless of who the talent is, he averaged over 150 yards a carry a game. Regardless of who the talent is, they didn't play any FCS teams. They play all Division I teams throughout the course of the year. So they're Division I, as we talked about yesterday. Even though there's a tier in NFL, but they're all still professionals and they're all NFL players. He played all Division I teams. Regardless, it's not his fault that they're not that talented. It's not his fault that they have confidence.
It kind of sort of is. You could have went to a better school, like, for real. You could have went to a bigger school. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, and it's just like when they go and they select in the college football playoffs, so they gonna look at those different things. Just like you said, he can't help where he can help where he went to school at, but
correct.
They looking at the impact, who they played, and things like that, and and then his actual impact in those games that he played, being a two-way player, and I mean, I don't know. He definitely deserving of it. I don't know, but you already know. I already knew it was going to be controversy.
Yeah, we knew. But, like, even when I posted yesterday and said that I'm going with Genty, and then someone came back and said that they believe Genty as well, but we all know Travis is going to get it. And I think it's various things, that little nuances that contribute to that, like the fact of who he plays for, his buzz, and all that type of stuff. Like, I get it. And even like we was talking about last night, CC, the Bolitnikoff Award. His numbers don't even speak. I don't understand, how do you get the Bolitnikoff Award when you're not tops in receiving yards, and you're barely pushing the envelope for the touchdowns. Like, it's all like, okay, you had a couple of good catches when you was contorted and stuff like that. That's what we talk about now, highlights. That's what we on. So it's like, I just don't believe, like, it was certain things that afforded him the opportunity, because if you broke down and separated the fact that he was a two-way player, he would have been above average in those other areas. That's just it. So you take it from someone that's probably more deserving. Like, of course, yes, Genty's going to end up walking away with the unless he can get stopped in their championship game in their quarterfinal game in the playoffs. You know, they are in the playoffs. Colorado's going to be playing BYU up the street from me in a couple of weeks. when Ginty and the lackluster Boise State Idaho team is going to be playing in the first round, the second round of the playoffs.
Did you see Cam Newton's statement on that? Did you see the statement on that? Nobody want to see Boise State. Nobody want to see Arizona State. Nobody want to. Come on, man. It's like
until they show that they deserve to be seen. Like,
right.
I mean,
until you show that you deserve to be seen.
So it's on the flip side of that.
You got a shot now too. You know, because
Arizona State plays Texas, right? Who's Arizona State playing?
No, didn't they get a bye?
No, Arizona
State didn't get the bye.
Oh, not yeah, they do have a bye. Texas plays. No, Arizona State doesn't have a bye, or do they? You're right. They do have a bye. Let me go back and see. So whoever they play is going to enact who Boise State plays. I think Boise State plays the winner of that game. So, but in case we don't get to see it till the next time, if Idaho State is worthy, I mean Boise State is worthy of being.
See, you don't even know their name. that's how insignificant they are, man. That's how irrelevant they are. You've called up Idaho State a couple of times. Boise State, you got no respect on their name either.
Idaho, because when I was stationed in JBLM, Washington, we used to go over to Idaho, and I always remember the blue field and going past and stuff like that on our way to Cherry Blossom. So that's why I keep on saying Idaho, because I keep on correlating going to Idaho with that. But
no, shout out to Boise State, man. I'm not knocking their team. I'm just saying they play. But they played lesser competition. Like, they didn't play the top. We already know how this went. We see this every year, though. We know how this is going to go. TCU got lucky a couple of years ago, but they had to score like almost 50 points or whatever to beat Michigan or whatever team they played in the semifinals to make it to the finals. And it was like a crazy overtime win. But then when they got to the final, when they got to the game, what happened? When they got to the championship, it wasn't even close. It's like, that's what you go see early on in this playoff is what I think is that some of these teams that are ranked high coming in as these conference winners, these lower conferences, until they get the talent up to compete, then it's going to be different. That you're going to get wiped out every time.
So correct. So that's what Arizona State's the winner of the Texas game plays Arizona State. Boise State gets the winner of Penn State or MSU, which that's doable. I think Boise State can handle Penn State or MSU, SMU.
You think so? I don't know. I don't know if they can handle the defense of a Penn State, man. Defense. Penn State was one of the top 5 teams in the country, and if you look at it, that defense, that they lean on defense. Their offense, not all that. Penn State has leaned on defense. When they've had to play offensively, is a struggle. So if Boise State can get a jump in a game against a Penn State, then I think Penn State have no comeback. But can you get that jump when they coming out the gate ready? Like, I think personally, the biggest deterrent to these games is the length in between them. You know what I mean? Like the time off in between them. I think that's gonna hurt some of the teams, especially the lesser talented teams.
So what we know from a fact is that Ashton Jeanty is the engine in Boise State's chassis. So if neither one of Penn State or SMU can't stop him, then they're not going to be able to stop Boise State. And so that's where the proof lies in which we're going to get to see. And even more so that you're going to start to look and see, like, this guy probably should have been the Heisman Trophy winner. But it's going to be after the fact. In any case, like you say, congratulations to Travis Hunter. Like Gerald was saying, all deserving and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out, you've seen it was not even close. Dylan Gabriel or Cam Ward or the fifth person who was Bo Scatterboo, who put up some good numbers late in the season, but it didn't even come close. But those were the top 5 when you look at it, of course. So it is what it is. On to the next one. None of the 4 will be around next year for to be. So of course, I think Bo Scatterboo is probably going to be the front runner coming out. So, but we'll see. Of course, moving on. Gerald, you stated earlier that you were a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Yes, sir.
what is up in your what is up with the influx or the so not so much influx in Philly? Do you think that a quarterback and a wide receiver can coexist even though they don't like each other to for the betterment of the team?
Yeah. So I mean, in that aspect, in anything, so it's a job. They doing a job. Jalen doing a job. AJ doing a job. Just like when we at our places of business, and we might not like whoever but we come in there, we get the job done. And in this case, between AJ and Jalen, I don't really think it's nothing like that. I think AJ was asked a question about what we can improve upon, because when you're a competitor and you see things that you could have done better, you're just going to speak on it. You know what I mean? So he was like passing, So, but the way Philadelphia media is set up, they gonna always spin something. They gonna always spin something and make something out to what it's not really like. Now, maybe a couple players that's on the team seen some of their interactions, and was like, oh well, they not really vibing how they would normally vibe. So I don't think they you know as close as they used to be. I mean, that's between them two, but I don't think that will actually hurt the Eagles and what they got going, because you know once in the beginning of the season started, this season started, and Jalen was having turnovers and things like that, and then we got to the bye week pretty early, and they just adjusted things. They adjusted things to the point where we had Saquon there. We wasn't running the ball with him as much in the first couple games, and then they was like, all right, we need to run more. So they started running more. Jalen started throwing less. I mean, then they really had no turnovers for multiple games. So I think they just had to find the right mix of things. Now was he missing reads and things like that? For his number one receiver, yes. I mean, we could all see it, but I don't think it was any beef. I think they locked in. I mean, we'll see. We'll see today at 4 o'clock. So we'll see how that goes.
All I can say is that's typical. Being a Cowboy fan, that's typical Eagle mess right there. To be tops, to be 11 and whatever, and then still have some kind of internal beef. Like this is your chance to win it all. I think they got a good shot with Saquon. Don't why change it? Get a ball to Saquon and get out the way. Throw it to him. Let him run it. I think that's what's hurting AJ Brown right there, is that it's a new top dog in the building. When he was the top dog in the building, no complaints. But now you got another top dog in the building. You got an MVP in the building. You know what I'm saying? Saquon is my favorite right now for MVP. You got an MVP in the building. I think that's what really. I don't think it got nothing to do with route running. I don't think it got nothing to do with none of that. I think it got to do with it's a new top dog in the building. I was the top dog, and now this guy comes in as the top dog, and he killing it right now. Saquon killing it.
So I would say this, right. I have always been, so to your point, Cece, you said to go ahead and let him run. The run game is what's working for y'all. But I have been always against, like, consistently, like, your strength. Don't overuse your strength, because what happens if somehow, some way they start to figure out how to stop your strength, and because you're underdeveloped, or you haven't developed, or you haven't been utilizing the other aspect of the game, now you have to figure out on the run to do that, and that could be detrimental to a team. Like, do y'all think at this point that Jalen Hurts has been developed well as a quarterback, or he's fully developed as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So I mean, you look at it. you know, and in Philadelphia, whether we win or whether we lose, and if we win close, we never satisfied. I done went to plenty games this year, like when we was
That's my
playing the
point.
Jacksonville Jaguars, the same game that Saquon did the backwards damn hurdles. I was pissed. I mean, we got a win, but I didn't feel like we won.
It was a
It's
commission.
because because we know what our expectations are. So that's all
Okay.
that was with AJ. They know what their expectations are. And this is nothing new. Since the time frame Jalen Hurts became a starter, he always gonna say we left more out there, or we could have did better. We didn't play to our potential, and these are all wins that we talking about, But they gonna always say they didn't play to their potential. That's just let you know that you got somebody that's striving for greatness, and they'll say it. I think they all want to core, but I think Jalen has definitely matured, as a quarterback, and gotten better as time has gone on. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Now for us, some of the things that we complaining about. I mean, but look where we at. I mean, over these past couple years since we've been a starter, we've been in the playoffs, we've been in contention, Super Bowl, we've been to the Super Bowl. So you know, but we just want more. In Philadelphia, we just want more. It's never going. He can throw for 400 yards and stuff, but then if he miss a wide open read or something like that, they gonna get him. It's just it's just what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he
Yes.
developed all right. I told you though, in a few years you wasn't gonna be talking about him, and it's already happening. The talk is not about Jalen Hurts anymore. Like he had that Super Bowl thing, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. But since then, it's been all knocks against what he has going on. There, I think they passing game will be fine. Like right now, you regular season. I think in the postseason, when you need that passing game, is gonna show up. Because you're
Right.
right, Trey, the teams are going to try to figure out a way to stop Saquon. 8 men in the box, whatever they got to do to make that adjustment. And I think that's when Jalen Hurts is going to show you his true development and everything. So I think Philly fans just worried about nothing. To be honest, I think he showed you in the past that hey, those receivers he got, he knows how to use those weapons. So I think he'll use them. I think he'll use them when they need to.
Yeah.
Which is like you said for the most part, and not to, and no one's knocking it, of course, like that. When you think about it, like it's probably going to be hard to stop. But honestly, it's only been a couple of times in which Jalen, I mean not Jalen, Saquon has been able to enact 100 yards on in late past a certain time frame. He's only did it 5 times in his career, and he's only did in 2 of the 5 times have been the last couple of weeks. So it's not a norm for him to be that potent. It's going to be so again, like you said, when people start picking out, and we're going to get to the point to where it's creme de la creme in these games, where it's not just saying you get a couple here and there, and then this is what we do. We're going to see like if he's really built for that, and without a good passing game, in which it seems like, in which we see, like you was just saying, CC, about how Jalen missed, or what it is AJ was talking about, how he missed them in an opportunity when he was wide open, and for a check down or for a run or something like that, for him to run. Is Jalen not staying in the pocket? Is he leaving the pocket too early, or is it just, what are we seeing, or what do y'all see from the sidelines or from the TV screens?
So what I've seen, so even when Jalen missed his first read, which is always AJ Brown. I mean,
Okay.
he still scored a touchdown. He still threw it to a tight end. He still did certain things. So he still made decent decisions. But the first read, which is AJ Brown, would have been a smarter a smarter choice. And I think that's what a lot of people have the issue with. I think the outcome was still good, but it shouldn't have been that type of it shouldn't have happened. That's basically what they saying. But
Mhm.
I don't
Is Sirianni your problem in your opinion, Gerald?
no no. So for me, I I like Sirianni's style. I mean because
Okay.
I think when it's the media and how they perceive somebody, you got to think Sirianni is mirroring what Philadelphia is. What the fans are. So you got to understand. I don't give a good damn if how the media like them or how anybody like them. I care about how the players react to the coach. You know what I mean? And how they go there and they got their game plan as long as they good. And the coaches like Sirianni when Sirianni on the sideline talking trash, or when the players feed off of that because that's just what it is. That's just Philadelphia. So I don't know. I think he good for Philadelphia, but I'm telling you, it's Philadelphia. It's week to week. You could have, we blow somebody out or we have a real good game or something like that and we feel real good. And then the next week it's real close or, he over there making questionable calls and not kicking field goals and we done left 15 points on the board or something like that. So then, it's off with his head. We want him gone. You know what I mean? So that's just Philadelphia. We never happy. Never happy. So, and when it's a big media market, the media going to take it and they going to spin it and things like that. But I don't think his job was ever in question. But then again, I don't know. It's Philadelphia. They got Doug Peterson out of there after we won the Super Bowl. So I mean, like, I don't know.
CC, you think Sirianni in your from the division rival aspect? Are you good with
No,
Sirianni, or you rather see him going because of his style?
You want to see him going
no,
because he win.
you heard of our previous you heard our previous shows with the goat with Bishop. Bishop is against Sirianni. I have no
Yes.
problem with Sirianni. I think, hey, you winning. What are you complaining about if you winning? Like, I don't see the problem with the coach. Like, I think he doing what he got to do. And like he said earlier, like Gerald said earlier, he made the adjustments to run the ball a little bit more this season. That later on in the season than he did in the beginning of the season, and it's showing. And then the defense is coming to life. They starting to get healthy on defense. I think that was a problem. You had some early on in the season, you had some defensive players out, and now that they all are coming back and they all together, now you starting to see what Sirianni envisioned. Man, this team was just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. The biggest change has been Saquon and Barkley. They didn't really lose much. They lost a couple of pieces on defense, but they kept the core of that defense together and got that young core together. They didn't need Hargraves no more because they got the young man from Georgia a couple of years ago, and he seemed to be working out. I can't remember his name, but he wrecked shop on that D line, D tackle. So it's like Sirianni's team just getting healthy.
So looking at it, right? Let's transition to another standing NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. as we know, the season's probably over for Dallas. But do you think McCarthy stays, or do you think there's someone out there better that can be brought in your opinion? CC, I'll start with you.
Man, you thought at the last year's playoff game, what I said, he should have been fired. The defensive coordinator, he is gone. All of them should have been fired. They should have fired the quarterback last year too. Like, that was just ridiculous. You can't motivate your team to do nothing out there. Like, I don't even understand. Forget the coaches and stuff. Sometimes it's about the players. You know what I mean? Like, we talk Bill Belichick, but how much do they talk Tom Brady holding their locker room together? Dallas don't have not one of those over there. We got Michael Parsons on podcast saying everything other than, man, I'm a part of this team and I'm trying to win. You know what I'm saying? You got people calling everybody out. You got no. So McCarthy, you got to remove. I don't think Jerry will because that's his style, but you got to remove McCarthy from the equation. You got to give somebody else a shot, or else you wasting the talent that you thought you had. Because you know McCarthy not moving the needle, man. He's just standing there with his arms folded all the time on the sidelines. No life, no motivation. And the team seemed to have that attitude, especially at home games.
So who do you think would be? Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cowboys fan, but I definitely agree with you though because McCarthy got to go. He got to go. It's the locker room, just like you said. You got Parsons speaking about everything except for bringing the team together. You know what I mean? So everything that the coach should do, they're not doing it. But even if early on in the season, when they was at practice and Jerry Jones landing in the helicopter and all this other stuff, and then they be like, oh, well, they doing these tours, doing our practice and things like that. Now, is it a whole bunch of other distractions in Dallas because of what Dallas is? I don't know. That's debatable, but something got to change. Something got to change because if they keep it this way, and we already know because we're not talking about Jerry Jones, we talk about McCarthy now.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerry Jones is running, everything when it comes to free agency and and everything else. That's going to make the team what it's supposed to be over the next couple years or whatever. And if they're not getting what they need to get out of McCarthy, you need to go.
And I just want to add this right here. We talk about discipline and stuff on this show. I've been telling you for the last few years, my Cowboys have not been disciplined. This year is not showing with as much in penalties as it is in poor decision making and play. Right? Come on,
Mm-hmm.
man. You block a
Yep.
punt, everybody know to get out the way. Why are you trying to scoop and score? What are we
Right.
doing? Why are we trying to be a hero when we just won this game? This game is over. If you just play your part, we got a good chance of winning this game. But instead, you want to see the undisciplined, right? That's the coaching right there.
Yeah.
Like a better
But
coach squad, you're not doing
is
that.
that fair to say? Is that fair to say it's coaching? Like, is that
Yeah,
fair?
that's coaching. That's coaching because everybody should know. Hey, get out the way. We going for the block. You know what I'm saying? They get this block, get out the way. That should already be discussed. It shouldn't be no hero ball. Like You shouldn't even. I mean, what I'm saying is that that's the culture. Because, like I said earlier, this guy thought that was cool because they did a similar play, which was a bonehead move. Instead of falling on the ball on an onside kick, dude picked it up and it happened to work out for him. He ran it in. So this guy thinking I can do the same thing. It's like, no, you should have said no. Okay, dude scored, but we don't want to do that again. We don't want to take those kind of chances. Fall on the ball.
He should have
You
fought
know
those.
what I'm saying? Fall on the ball.
So staying in this, right? And there's a couple of things in which I'm thinking of. So, but one of the things is what was revealed by sources is that Bill Belichick did inquire about the New York Jets position. Let's say, had Belichick been able to get in New York, do you think him and Aaron Rodgers could have enacted magic in that sense, especially with the personnel that they have?
Me, honestly, I don't think Rodgers is who he used to be.
Okay.
Because, before he left to come over to the Jets, he wasn't who he used to be.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, because everybody expected the Jets to be more, and it's crazy because they ain't even that much more than when they had, what was his name?
So,
Right.
They
You know what I
worse.
mean? And
They 3-10. They worse.
and then, oh boy, did they blamed everything on the quarterback when they got him
Yeah.
out. They blamed everything on him, but it's like the same thing. So I don't know. But they got on paper it looked good, but I don't know. I mean, you got Aaron just the way that he been playing, like it just ain't it. It ain't it.
Well, 7-10, 7-10. That's how they was bashing that young man.
Yeah.
He was 7-10. This guy's 3-10. This guy's 3-10 in his first full season. I don't think it's no help in that. I think it's the organization though.
Yeah.
I know Bill Belichick had connections with the Jets once before, him and the Parcells link or whatever before he took the New England job. So maybe he wanted to kick the tires on the Jets thing, but I don't think he would have helped the Jets out because it's bigger than just coaching them. You can see that now. Like Aaron Rodgers, he kind of sort of took the team down with him. You got everybody that you want, but none of the rest of the team consult. So Bill would have to change that whole culture coming in. And I think the first thing Bill would have done is gave Aaron Rodgers a choice. Either you're going to do this my way or you're going to sit on the bench. You know what I'm saying? You're going to sit on the bench and watch. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is used to anybody telling him like that. So I don't think it would have worked at all.
So what we do know differently is that we know that the old GM was fired last month. They currently are looking at two candidates that are about to interview in the coming weeks. One being John Robinson. If y'all remember John Robinson, he was the GM for the Tennessee Titans, and then they had 7 successful years, and all of a sudden he got fired. Like they went to the playoffs every year under him. He was the person that drafted King Henry, and then of course the other candidate that they have is Louis Riddick, as we know him as the analyst, colorful analyst. He's going to be interviewing for the position as well. A while back, he's worked in Philadelphia, Washington's front offices. He was the part of their personnel, ran their personnel teams. He was supposedly supposed to interview for the San Francisco 49er GM position before they announced that John Lynch would be the candidate when they decided to go with Shanahan and Lynch. So I always wonder what that would have been with Louis Riddick, but now he may get an opportunity to go with the New York Jets. So I ask y'all, gentlemen, if you were going to interview and became the next Jets GM, what would be your first action?
I mean, I need to say it. Draft a quarterback. We drafted a quarterback in this draft. We getting whoever. We drafting a quarterback. That's my first move. Draft a quarterback.
So you're drafting. So y'all looking at drafting a quarterback. Is this to draft a quarterback?
I'm looking at drafting a quarterback. That's just me.
Well, because Gerald said yeah, so it sounded like he was on the same. It was what you were on. So I'm asking, if y'all drafting a quarterback, are y'all drafting a quarterback to supplant the coming year or to learn under Aaron?
Both.
Does Aaron continue to start?
Look. You can't lose. Either Aaron gonna be a part of the organization to help you win, which he's not doing right now. He's not helping you win. Like he's not helping you win. So either he gonna get on the page to help you win, but there's nothing wrong with having some competition in there. I personally think that's the problem with a lot of these teams. You pay the one quarterback, the so-called franchise guy, all his money, and then you don't bring in anybody to put some fire up under him. You know what I'm saying? To let them know that your spot could be taken. So I think you draft a guy to say, hey, we can go this route. We're gonna go this route if you don't get it done. I think it works out both ways, but you get somebody and then you get them and you ain't gotta pay them a lot of money right away. So I think you draft a quarterback.
Brock Purdy.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Jets they would have to take a quarterback. They got to take a quarterback. So the Aaron situation is only what, at max 2-3 years, if that. He ain't gonna be playing too much longer. I mean, I don't see Aaron going to 2028 or or something like that. So they got to get
definitely be a stopgap.
Yeah. Get somebody in, let them sit on the Aaron, let them learn. And if you need to pull the trigger, which you probably will, because Aaron might go out there, trip, and then you got to come out. And then
So who's the quarterback? Shador, Gabriel, Cam, Ward. Who y'all taking with that draft? Because right now the Jets are sitting at number 7. So
Ward won't be there at 7. I think he going whatever Raider pick get. I think Cam Ward got a good chance to go to the Raiders.
Are number 1.
I think Cam Ward going to the Raiders.
Right now, if we was to go down to the Jets right now, is the Vegas is at 1, New York is at 2, New England is at 3, Carolina is at 4, Jacksonville is at 5, Tennessee is at 6, and the 7th is the Jets. So potentially one of those 3 will be there at 7. Looking at that, because I don't think New England is looking for a quarterback, nor Carolina, nor Jacksonville. In my opinion, you know how I feel about Levis. Tennessee should be looking for another quarterback, but they're probably not going to. And then the Jets. So you have it there, unless someone like Cleveland or decides to jump up ahead to get into that. So out of those 3, who do you think would be a better fit right now if you were a GM? Are you going with Shador? Hopefully, move up to get Shador, Cam Ward, or Dylan Gabriel?
I'll take Shador. Shador would be my pick because
he will be a good fit for the Jets, though.
Yeah, I think he would be my pick because he gives you the most. He gives you the most leeway. He can sit and learn, or he can come in and immediately make some plays for you. But I think Cam Ward is the best quarterback, but I don't think he's gonna be there for the Jets. So that's why I've eliminated him, and I think Shador would be that better fit. Plus, it's New York. Like we was talking before, he either Mr. Vegas or Mr. New York. His personality, man, he already has that with him. The young man has that, and I think he'll bring a different life to the New York Jets. And I think it'll shift the focus. Like with a guy like him, even if he back up to Aaron Rodgers, it'll take some pressure even off Aaron Rodgers, to share that spotlight with somebody else. So I think Shador would be that player.
Yeah, that'd be crazy too. But they got to trade. They would trade up. They would have to trade up. Cam Ward won't go down that long. Not down to 6, 7.
No.
That's not going to happen. So yeah.
But you know what's funny is correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. Didn't Aaron Rodgers have a problem with Jordan Love in the building? Like he's like, I'm not here to trade him or help him, or that's not my job.
But that was different though. They didn't tell him. They didn't give him a heads up. Come on. That was different. Green Bay just drafted a quarterback. They didn't give him a heads up. Like they didn't say. They didn't even call him and say, "Hey, man."
So you saying that? So you saying you as a GM, Gerald, you too. You saying you as a GM, you're going to call your starting quarterback to let them know, "Hey, I'm drafting a quarterback in the 2nd round."
Man, you paying him $200 million. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a call. He can sink this franchise. If he demoralized, then we all going down. So yeah, I'm gonna give him the respect and call him.
Right. How many years did Love sit behind Aaron?
I think 3 or 4, right?
3, right?
4 years, right? Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, but every organization is different. So,
Yeah.
Right.
obviously it was a lot of frustrations, with Aaron, around that time frame. But I do remember hearing that he was like, I'm not training and or whatever. He was saying that, he not, but obviously Love took him under his, Love learned a lot just by watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
evidence obviously.
and right,
Like,
right, because when he played, I was like, yo, Love is going to be a problem. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
what's going on,
so I don't
MEB?
know.
Well, yeah, and when you look at that, like, because, and again, that's a great point. Thank you for pointing that up, bringing that up, Gerald. Where did Love go to school at?
Cal, right? Somewhere like that, right?
Utah State.
Yeah,
Mm.
Utah State. That's right. Utah State.
You know who played against Utah State?
Oh my God. Here we go.
Michigan State played against. So I mean, so this, so keep that in mind, bro. Like Jordan
Where
Love
did Josh Allen come from? A
implanted
lot of these
the
quarterbacks
great
come from,
Aaron Rodgers.
You know.
I just wanted to point that out. But I mean, in
But
any
the great
case,
Aaron Rodgers sat behind the great who for how many years before he got
Aaron
established?
Rodgers
The
sat
great
behind Favre, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
Brett
hard.
Favre for how many years? 2-3 years of his career, right?
2 or
His
3
first
years,
two,
yeah.
3 years, he sat behind Brett Favre. So, seems to be the culture in Green Bay. Bring a quarterback in, let him sit, and then he goes off and he does his thing and he plays phenomenal. That's what we see with Jordan Love. It seemed to be their strategy, like with their quarterbacks, and it seems to work for
And
each coach
it's
that they've
crazy
had.
because it used to be like that across
Yeah,
all of the teams. They used
Mhm.
to
yeah,
come in. It used to be QB development, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And they would come in, they would sit. They would sit behind somebody. Now they coming in, it's like a factory. You coming in, you it. And then,
hmm
you either going to sink or swim. And, most of them,
right,
they sinking.
And
yeah,
I hate to say it, but you know where I think that mindset started? It started with Harbaugh, how he did Alex Smith with Colin
Oh,
Kaepernick. Like it was just a waiting period. Like, of course, Alex Smith went out with the injury. He came back 2 weeks later, but it was Kaepernick's team at that point, and Alex had to go.
yeah.
Poor
So
Alex Smith, man. He done lost his job everywhere. He done went, right? Like, like he lost his job in
he
San
didn't
Fran.
lose it. He didn't
Wait,
lose it in Washington because remember he
wait.
had that injury that almost killed him
Yeah, he
while
had
he
the
lost his
injury,
job
but
in
He
I'm
Washington.
went to the
saying,
Chiefs too, right?
but
Yeah,
he was with the
he
Chiefs,
lost
and
his job
Mahomes
to
took his job. Like he
Mahomes.
lost his job to Mahomes.
Yeah,
You
Wait,
know,
yeah.
was
that's
he
what I'm
injured
saying. He
or did
got
Mahomes just get the spot?
That's Drew. That's the Drew Bledsoe life right there, man. Everywhere you go,
Actually,
you can
yeah,
lose your
Drew.
job. One injury take
More
you out,
Drew.
right? And you lose your job, right? Bledsoe
So
lost
when
his
you look
job a
at
couple
that,
times.
when you
Tony
look at something
Romo.
like that, when you look at some that point, yeah. Do you? So when you look at that, is it that basically it was your job was lost already that you just gave them a reason to sit up and supplant you? In the case of Alex
I don't
Smith, Tony
necessarily think.
Romo,
I mean,
Alex,
think about it. If Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl that year, Drew Bledsoe would have been back on that squad, right? He would have been the starting quarterback again, right? It just so happened that they won. They actually won with this guy. So why go away from what we won with was the whole thing? Let's see if we can win again with this guy. I think the same thing happened to Bledsoe when he was in Dallas. Was just that he got hurt, and then Tony Romo goes on this run, and you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, the Cowboys are back in the playoffs. They doing this and they doing that, and it's like, oh, you know, like a dropped field goal, whatever. He fumbled the field goal. Remember, Romo fumbled the field goal.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know
Stop
where
that
it didn't
momentum. But
happen?
other than that,
It didn't
huh?
happen in Philly. No, Nick Knowles won the Super Bowl and was out the next year
So
going to
Foles,
Jacksonville.
Oh,
but
Nick Foles,
but
yeah.
but he stayed a year after, and won another
Did he?
playoff game for Philly,
I
didn't
thought
he?
he went to
he,
no,
he,
I
he-
think he went to Jacksonville because him and Gardner Minshew both
nah.
ended up
So
in Jacksonville.
he stayed because Carson Wentz was still the starter. So
Yeah.
Right.
and he stayed, but he still played behind Carson Wentz, and then he left after that.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
he left. But I think Nick Foles did, but it's an exception to the rule. It's like I used to watch the Buffalo Bills back in the days. Frank Reich used to come in a playoff game when Jim Kelly get hurt and keep that ship afloat. But then the next week, if Kelly can go, Kelly right back out there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like Frank Reich, I thought he was decent. He played hard, but every time you turn around, he was good to go to, but then they go right back to Kelly every time. They went right back to Kelly. So it just shows you that sometimes some people can take your job and some can't.
Just like what's going to happen in Minnesota. Sam Darnold's going to be out.
You
You
think
think
Unfortunately.
so?
so?
So
Oh,
wait. So you don't think that Minnesota going to give him, I don't know what,
30 million?
80 million,
Nah,
3 years or something? Like, you don't think so? Nothing.
nah. So it's funny, like, because I think what we see is even they're kicking the tires with Daniel Jones, or they just brought him in to be a backup, emergency backup. But you got JJ McCarthy, who was supposed to be the starter, but he got injured. Sam Darnold was already in the building when JJ McCarthy was named to be the starter. But he got, like you said, he got injured. And so now you have Sam Darnold, even though he's cooking. I think the only thing that might save Sam Darnold is winning the Super Bowl. Maybe. But then you have to pay him. Are they going to be willing to pay him? And then so I think that's the situation. So short of them winning the Super Bowl, maybe an NFC championship run, a finals run. I don't think he's staying. They're going to sit up and he's going to. The only thing he has did is interview or audition for other teams for someone to bring him in, like to be a stopgap or to be a veteran presence for, like you was talking about, the Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe to shift and go where Daniel Jones was just at to be a gap for the New York Giants or something like that. But I don't think that he played himself into a deal to stay in Minnesota
I
unless
don't
he
know.
was a Super Bowl.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
We'll see. But I definitely can see it playing out how you saying. But we'll see. I mean, look. I mean, Kirk Cousins got all that bread in Atlanta, so
Yeah.
you never know. So
I,
Well, I think
we all
I
need
think
Kirk
you give
Cousins' age.
if you Minnesota, you got to think about keeping Darnold in some capacity. You don't know what McCarthy's going to be when he comes, especially not being played and then coming off an injury before you ever plays one regular season game. So I think picking up Daniel Jones was clever in two different ways. You got a security blanket if anything happens for this stretch run of the season. If
Correct.
anything was to happen to Darnold or whatever, and you had to go a different way, you got somebody that you obviously believe you can win with. One. Then on the other side of it, it stops Daniel Jones from going to any of your competitors that may have been thinking the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, that
it
part.
stops.
Because I surely was hoping San Francisco was going to pick him up, but of
I mean,
course we
you know
did.
what I mean? But it stops all that, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Vikings they playing it smart, and I also think that Sam Darnold has worked his way. Whether Minnesota pays him or some other team, somebody gonna pay this guy next season. This guy getting paid next season, and
he is.
and it might be the team that he left already. It might be the Jets. Just throw that out to him. The Jets might pay him. You know, the team that drafted him might pay him. So just keep that out. Keep that in mind, people.
So Anthony asked the question: do you think, as a GM, if you were playing the GM, are you paying Higgins and Chase, or are you going to focus on the defense? Do one of them walk, or both of them walk, for you to get better on defense? Uh, what's your thoughts? I think you ain't got no choice but to keep Chase. Like, if you let Chase go, then the base that means you got to keep Higgins, let Chase go. You will play on the defense. But my first one would be Chase, because Chase helped the team down while Higgins was out. We all know that was a lot of Burrow, but Chase is a bad man, and
Yeah.
so. But I mean, defense. I know CC hurts the term defense wins ball games, but they need defense.
Bad. They need defense bad. So Higgins is gone.
Right?
Higgins is gone. Higgins gonna go somewhere. He gonna go somewhere and he gonna ball.
You're
But
gonna be all
Chase is
right.
that. Yeah, Chase is that dude. Chase is that dude. You absolutely got to pay Chase. You'll be a
Right.
fool not to pay Chase. And then work your magic, do whatever you gotta do, and get that defense where it need to get to. You already got number one passer. You already got number one receiver. Defense. Get some beef that defense up, and then the Bengals gonna be all right. So I mean, yeah, I
The
think Higgins is
crazy,
gone though.
yeah.
I definitely going. I think he's gonna be going. I think the Bengals going to lock up Chase. And that's the smart thing to do, and then they just need to beef up their defense and some other things like that.
Mhm.
And I think they'd be straight because if you'd have told me their record would have been what it's at right now, I'd have been like, no way,
No way.
no way, no way. So
not only they record, but they still are offensive. They're offensive power, and think they doing this without Mixon this year. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly. So
They play, so.
uh, yeah,
But
but
I agree.
Higgins is out of there. I think
Yeah,
Higgins
I
is
agree. See you.
he out of there.
Chase is the guy.
Chase is the guy, most
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah.
So of course we get ready to get into these picks. As we know, we're 4 minutes from the kickoffs. So we already know San Francisco took an L to the Los Angeles Rams, unfortunately, which most likely has put them out of the playoffs. The only way they could potentially win would be to win the division, and the division they're currently, I think, is 3 games back.
Yeah,
With
we
3
didn't even
games.
talk about that.
We
What's his
wasn't.
name?
He was
Devondre Campbell or whatever. We didn't even talk about that.
Oh
Now
man, yeah.
I wanted to talk about it because y'all made such a big deal about Richardson keeping his job when he did the same thing. When he said he ain't going back in the game for the Colts, y'all was like, oh, y'all got to give him a chance. Now is the outcry is different. Campbell got to go. He got why? What's the
Well,
difference
he's
between Campbell
been
and
released
Richardson?
already.
Yeah, he's been released, but what's the difference? Like, why does he have to go and Richardson got
no,
to stay?
I think the difference is, like, in my opinion, I didn't have a problem with what Richardson did. Like, he was tired. Like, he was tired. You can get a quarterback. You can get another quarterback in, because if he was tired, that means he wasn't going to be able to run again. He wasn't going to be able to pass again, potentially. So what would you have done? You would have gave the ball to a running back to kind of like to reset that time for him to where he can get his energy back. So what's the difference in him stepping out the game and you bringing in a quarterback to do the same thing? Because he's tired. So that's what it's somatics in the case of aesthetics in the case. In the case of Campbell, he basically told you, I'm not going to play since y'all trying to play Greenlaw, who was balling out. Greenlaw was holding him out. He was set up as like Greenlaw is a difference in my sense. Just like I said, that's the only reason why Kansas City beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl was because Greenlaw went out. Because before Greenlaw went out, Kansas City was on lock. Greenlaw leaves, then they start doing what they do, and then they were able to break through, and then it became a dogfight. But before that, Greenlaw had them strapped up. Same thing that would happen against the Rams on Thursday night. Greenlaw was out there balling out, strapped up. Nothing was getting past him. He was even simply covering down for Warner. He goes out. Next thing you know, they start chipping away, and then there's no production for San Francisco at that point. The defense gave way. So Greenlaw makes a difference. Campbell felt a certain type of way. He's like, I'm not going to play. I don't want to play today. And then fourth quarter, they're like, hey, go ahead, take it, go ahead, pack it in. And then he released on Tuesday.
Man, it used to be a privilege to play and make that kind of bread. Now it's like I'm entitled to this. It's like, you know what? I don't even have to. I ain't going in the game. You know, I ain't going in the game. Your man pulled a Joel Embiid. I'm not gonna play today, coach.
Yeah, I just
You
can't
know?
wait to really be able to hear more of
His
the
part.
story on why. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
On
Like,
why.
why
So
because that's unheard of. Like, man, you got a chance of
yeah,
a lifetime in a prime time game. You get to
yeah,
showcase your skills, and you don't want to go in the game.
all right. It
Man.
ain't make no sense.
But in case, like you said, last week that was San Francisco, so they're most likely out of it. We can I'm cool with that though. Go ahead and pack it in and basically start. We sitting on sidelines with the Cowboys. Like I told y'all, waiting for Philadelphia to lose in the second round. As
Not
we
gonna
so
happen.
Wow.
Not this
so
time.
we all sitting
Not
there
this time.
kumbaya.
Keep wishing, my brother.
So first up in the 12 o'clock games, we got Kansas City at Cleveland. Is this a situation to where we see the funny Jameis Winston enact a victory for the Cleveland Browns over Kansas City?
Yes, I think
Gerald, you
so.
going with Kansas City? I mean, you going with Cleveland, Gerald?
I'm going with Cleveland. I'm going
Oh,
with
okay.
Cleveland. I'm going with Cleveland. I think it's going to happen. I think this is where Kansas City luck runs out. I think it's going to happen this game. I'm telling you. And I just like seeing Jameson play, and I like his
That
commentary.
dude is hilarious.
Obviously, after the games, so I think it's going to be a Cleveland Brown victory.
CC, you going with Cleveland too?
No, Kansas City, man. Kansas City. I mean, I like the argument though. I mean, I think Cleveland, man. I'm disappointed in Cleveland. They got a good defense. We know they solid defense, and that defense can keep them in games. I just don't have no faith in Winston, man. This dude throw the ball to the other team pretty regular, like regularly. Like that's just a part of his mo. And it's just I don't think they can dig themselves out. I think Kansas City gonna win by a field goal or something.
So I would like to be on the same thing that Gerald's on because I believe that shocking, like Winston has a shock and awe factor. It's like like you said, the dude threw 30 interceptions, but he threw 30 touchdowns as well. So it's like that, but that counts us out. It's like that puts you back at zero. But I just think you got someone like Jones that's rushing, putting the pressure on. You got your defense. I mean, Kansas City ain't lack of a defense for the most part. They just haven't been that potent on offense. But I think they're going to be a little too much. That defense is going to be a little too much for Jameis. So I'm going with Kansas City as well. Next up, Cincinnati. We were just talking about. They're playing at Tennessee. CC, first up, who you got? Cincinnati Bengals.
Come on,
Tennessee
Bengals. Tennessee ain't got nothing on it this year. I think the Bengals haven't given up. They know they got not in a hunt right now, but I don't think they've given up, and they put up too many points for a team like Tennessee to compete with.
Gerald,
it's definitely Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati.
And see, I'm on it too. Cincinnati. It's just for the most part, I don't believe in Will Levis in any way, form, or fashion. Although he has been playing better, but I think he has to go through the rest of the year before I even remotely be back on a possibility of picking the Tennessee Titans. I think him and Ridley are starting to get a little more and more in tune and in sync with one another, which is benefiting them for the most part. But I just don't think they're going to be Cincinnati for reasons we discussed earlier. Chase is an unstoppable force in a sense, and I see Higgins as, when the hurricane surpasses, people don't realize they have to worry about the tornadoes, and I think that's Higgins is the tornado. Next up, Gerald, Washington at New Orleans. Who you got?
Ooh, I think the Commanders going to pull this one off.
Okay. I thought you was going to go. I mean,
man, division. I hate to do it. I hate to pick these teams in my own division. I hate to do it, but the Commanders are the better team.
Yeah.
True enough.
And they are without Carter today too. The Saints are they playing some guy named Hanger? I never even heard of him.
Oh man, hey,
I never even heard of him.
Did y'all see what SportsCenter did to their quarterback? That quarterback that they about to start. Man, I guess he took this
that picture.
Shoot. Oh, it's hilarious, bro.
The picture, I seen the memes.
yeah, it's funny.
Next up, CC, Baltimore at New York. Do they have a chance?
The Giants don't have a chance. The Ravens need this game too. The Ravens cannot let this one slip away. They already got 5 losses on the season. The Ravens, they can't let this one slip away and still be talked about as contenders. So Ravens.
Yeah, definitely Ravens. Yeah, if they lose to the Giants, and I don't. Is it spaghetti and meatballs still? Is he the quarterback still? I don't know. Is it that month? I don't know.
The
anyway, if they let spaghetti and meatballs win, then it's a wrap. So I mean, 5 losses. I mean, and the AFC is stacked. We already see how it's going, so they can't afford to lose this one.
All right, I agree with y'all. Baltimore, without a doubt, definitely needs it, but I don't even think New York has enough in their tank to even be a competitive at this point. Like I said, tank mode, and that's what they're doing. Next up, I started off the Dallas Cowboys at Carolina. This one is a rough one. As much as I want to just outright say Dallas, you got to take in consideration Carolina has been playing better and better now that Bryce Young has got his starting position back and looking kind of spiffy. I know Trey Diggs is out. Badado has been picking up. I think maybe Micah Parsons is going to have that fire lit in him where he doesn't afford the opportunity to drop 2 games, especially this one to Carolina. So against my better judgment, I'm sticking with Dallas. Gerald, who you got?
I'm going with Carolina. And this is why. Carolina has taken a lot of good teams to the brink.
Okay, yes.
So, and I'm basing it upon that. So, what I've been seeing from, the people's coaches, Cowboys over here. As of late, as of late, I think they can get beat by the Panthers. So I'm gonna go with the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm watching the game right now, and I can tell you, false start. I mean, whatever it is, call back a big play already. That's Dallas, the undisciplined Dallas Cowboys. But I'm gonna stick with them.
Wow.
I'm gonna stick with them and say they're gonna find a way to beat Carolina. But already off to a bad start.
Yeah.
Already.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna flip that. I'm going with Carolina.
Already off to a bad
After
start.
you done gave him the new information, look, you done changed it
I'm
up.
gonna go ahead and flip that.
Already off to a bad start.
Next up, Jacksonville will be hosting the New York Jets. Jets. Coach, who you got? Jacksonville or New York?
Man, this is a tough game to pick because they both 3-10 and they both not doing nothing. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing for the Jaguars, even though they're at
Not
home.
Brees Hall is
So
back for the for the Nets Jets. I mean,
so I hate to do it. I'm gonna take the Jets in this one. Like I think the Jets gonna win this game defensively.
Yeah, I think
I'm
the
with the
Jets gonna
Jets
win
as
too.
well. Yeah, clean sweep Jets. Excuse me. Next up, Miami, which is probably going to be the greatest game of the front first window. The Miami Dolphins will be traveling to your squad, your town, H Town. So I started off with you, Coach. Houston hosting Miami. Who you got?
I'm taking man. This is another tough one. Miami look like they're on the upswing, trying to put up some kind of fight. But I'm gonna take Houston in this one. Texans don't let me down this time, man. Every time I roll with y'all fall apart. So I'm taking the Texans though. Come on, Houston.
Yeah. Um, this is a tough one to pick, but I actually think Miami gonna pull this one out. Uh, just like we said, they trending in the right direction right now. I think Miami gonna pull it out.
Okay, like you said, pretty rough. In the case of where I'm kind of like split, and I have no true dog in the fight. I usually tend to go with the home team, but like you said, they A Chain is is a pretty good runner. The monster isn't bad. Y'all don't have Al. I mean, Houston doesn't have Al Sure because he's on the game suspension for the late hit against what's his name, Trevor Lawrence. So it might be a little hole in the defense. I think I'm taking Miami too as well.
Mm. Some good receivers in this game though. Nico Collins,
Nico Collinsdale,
Yeah.
yeah, there's some good receivers. Yeah.
So starting off the late window, the Indianapolis Colts with the aforementioned Anthony Richardson and the Denver Broncos with potentially what might be the rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, in Bo Nix. Gerald, who you got? Colts, then Broncos.
Give me the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. CC.
Same here. Give me the Broncos. I'm not a huge Sean Payton guy, but he's doing much better with this Bo Nix and his second year around with that team. He's doing much better this year. So yeah. Colts, unfortunately, man, they just too up and down for me. And if Richardson's the starting quarterback, he's a good runner. He keep him in games, but he don't complete passes. He don't complete enough passes in games. Trade for me,
So I'm with y'all staying with Denver. I just think Bo Nix is on the roll right now, and it's probably going to continue on. Even though I'm not a big Denver fan, but I'm rocking with them on this one. Next, the game that's probably one of the two games that's probably going to be the better ones in the late window. First off, the Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. Coming to you first, Gerald. Who you got? The Lions, the Bills. Who's the king of the Serengeti?
Man, this is gonna be a good one. And I'm mad because Philly and Pittsburgh is at the same time frame. But I think Buffalo gonna win this game.
Mm.
I think Buffalo gonna win this game. Obviously, I think it's gonna come down to who defense is playing better. But if Detroit don't stop Josh Allen from being Josh Allen, they gonna lose that game.
So I'm going to go in this case. I'm going with Detroit. I think this is definitely one of those things with the cancel out and going with the home team. Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery are probably going to get let loose. Amon-Ra St. Brown might sit up, pick up something. Jameson Williams might be in. We might see a Laporta. I just think it's a lot of weapons for Buffalo coming off, and they might drop a second consecutive game. After losing to the Rams last week, after scraping up the 49ers in the Snow Bowl, this is what it is. So I'm taking Detroit in this one. CC?
Oh man, I got to play catch up too. So in this game, I'm taking the Bills. I think Josh Allen. I'm just gonna go off the quarterbacks. The best quarterback in this game gonna be Josh Allen, and I think he go. I think he gonna score at least a couple of rushing touchdowns today to change this game.
Next up, CC, I'm coming to you first. Pittsburgh at Philly, the battle for Pennsylvania. Who's going to be victorious? Do we get the Philadelphia Eagles to basically continue their run and get another dub, or do we have Pittsburgh that's going to do improbable without? I think Pickens isn't there. So who you got? Philly, Pittsburgh.
I'm going with the Steelers in this game, and the only reason I'm taking them is because if they complaining about not being able to pass, I don't think you're gonna be able to pass against T.J. Watt, Porter, and what's his name, Hightower, and those dudes. I think your passing game is gonna suffer today, and we know they gonna hit hard. We know Pittsburgh gonna hit Saquon harder than he been hit this year. So I'm going Pittsburgh.
Well, you already know. You already know. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
So I think I'm taking Philly as well. For the simple fact of, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Jalen Hurts to be used in his strength, and that's the goal line. Whether it's picking up a third and one, a fourth and one, or a goal line touchdown after Saquon did a little damage, and him cleaning it up. You get into the passing game, it might be a little bit different, but they do have a good offensive line, so that might be able to kind of hold off Hightower, Quinn, and them during spurts in which they might be able to capitalize. So I'm erring on the side of caution and taking the whole team Philly.
Okay. So I think the all defensive, front line, them Georgia boys. I think they gonna do some things, this game. And of course, everybody gonna be expecting maybe AJ to be double teamed or something like that. If Jalen is gonna go that route, but we got other weapons and things like that. And if not, Jalen gonna take off himself. So I think we get it. I think it's gonna be a blowout? No, but I think we get the win.
Okay. Two more, well, actually 5 more games to select. 2 more in the early window, and then we have a prime time, and then there's a double header for Monday night. First up, New England at Arizona. Does New England have a chance to pick up some more games, or are we going basically? Are they playing for a top seed currently at number 3, or is Arizona good to go? CC, who you got?
I'm taking Arizona in this one. I've lost all faith in the Patriots. They're part of the reason why I'm in the hole. I give up on them. Might be too late.
Yeah, I'm not picking the Patriots. I'm definitely going to take the Cardinals.
Likewise, that's a Queen Sleep Arizona. As much as I hate to do it, but at this point, they can't help me at all. Until they play San Francisco at the end of the season, I might continue to pick the Cardinals. Next up, Tampa Bay and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are looking a little shaky because they don't have everyone in which they had. Currently, Ladd McConkey, who is playing, mention of Georgia, another player from Georgia, is playing pretty good, picking up as a number 1 receiver in Los Angeles for the Chargers. But we know Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, that grit. They have Mike Davis that is back, of course, and he's doing his damage here and there. Bruce Irvin was expected to be out the game, but he's going to be playing. So I started off. I'm taking Tampa Bay in this game. Gerald, who you got?
They playing in California?
Yes, sir. No, yes, they playing in LA.
Give me Tampa Bay.
TB it is. CC.
I know Tampa Bay needs this win, but he playing against Harbaugh. I've been rooting for Harbaugh all year. They playing against Harbaugh. I don't care how scrappy, what's his name has been, or how gritty, or whatever you call it. It ain't producing wins. It ain't producing enough wins where they should have a stranglehold on that division already. So give me the Chargers. The Chargers are the better team. They got the better. Don't look now, but the Chargers are. They right there with your so-called Ravens about to pass them up. You know what I'm saying? They right there with. For real, look at it. They right there
Yeah, I
with
gotta look
same
at this.
record. Same record and stuff. So I'm taking the Chargers.
Chargers are creeping on the come up, huh? Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
In the still of the night. Next up, the primetime game tonight. The Green Bay Packers will be traveling upstate to the Pacific Northwest to take on the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Davis got the team in first place in the NFC West. For the brief hiatus for the 49ers are taking, we'll let you rent it for now. We'll lease it to you for now. We'll be back to get what's ours. But until then, Seattle is the reason for the season. CC, who you got? Green Bay, Seattle.
Oh man, Seattle done let me down so many times. I'm taking Green Bay in this one. I just got to go with Jordan Love and the weapons that he got, which nobody talks about those receivers because they all, I ain't gonna call them off-brand, but they ain't got no big names. But yet week after week they making plays out there. Jordan Love looks pretty good for the most part. So and Geno makes me mad in games like this because I so want to go with the Seahawks, but then he always disappointed in a game like this. So I'm going Packers.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Green Bay. This is going to make it a lot closer because it's already closer than that NFC West. So when Green Bay beat the Seahawks, so I'm not sure. So who leading the NFC West right now?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Oh yeah, so they might. I expect for them to lose today, and then yeah. So it's gonna be a close one because the Cardinals they got 5 wins or six wins, right?
Yeah, so they right now is looking more like the race is gonna end up turning up being between the Cardinals. I mean, through the Seahawks and the Rams because the Rams are like on one right now.
Right. Yeah, so this might get the edge to the Rams after the Seahawks get beat.
They start it start to tip the scales for them definitely.
Right.
Like I said, I told you I'm taking Green Bay as well. Interestingly, like we know about the running backs by committee, in this case, since I think it's a wide receivers by committee with their bevy of wide receivers with no one really standing out, is like every week you might get a different one with the contributions from the other ones. But what you do know is they got Jacobs, and he is as average highs paid the mission to see. So, but I'm going with Green Bay. 2 games left. Monday night double headers, which is probably simple. Of course, the first of those games, the Chicago Bears will be traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, and the aforementioned, like we talked about in the show, Sam Darnold seemingly still playing for even 1 to be their franchise quarterback, or 2 to be paid by someone, an outside source. Gerald, who you got? Chicago, Minnesota.
It's some purple people eaters. Yeah, the Vikings. So Darnold trying to get paid. So they're gonna pull out that win.
I'm gonna rock it with the Minnesota contingency as well. Interesting enough, 2 USC quarterbacks, 1 Heisman Trophy winners. Darnold was a here go Eric with the oh yes sir. So and then of course the Darnold with the Darnold actually was one of the more successful quarterbacks leaving USC, but he was of course overshadowed by other talents out the door. So he wasn't a Heisman Trophy finalist or even in the Heisman Trophy race. But I got Minnesota. CC?
I got Minnesota too. Bears. I mean, I know it's a rivalry game, and those games tend to be close, so they can go either way. But Bears ain't got nothing on it. Too much dysfunction right now. They don't know which direction they going. So give me the Vikings. And that Vikings defense, man, they was good early on, then they lacked a little bit, but now they getting back. They getting back to championship defense mode. Hats off to Flores over there making that defense tough.
And last but not least, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who will be hosted by the Las Vegas Raiders. I lead off on this. I just think Vegas is going to continue to hold the line and continue to lose. They probably going to have some people here and there, but they're going to continue to do that. Atlanta, I hate to go with this, but I'm just going with Atlanta because I think they have more weapons. I think the real MVP is Kirk Cousins' agent because he continues
said that plenty of times. This man lives with a big contract.
He just says, "Oh, standing ovation!" Like that dude, whoever that dude is, he's a real MVP, but he's not on the field. But I mean, Kirk Cousins is. They still have Bijan Robinson. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. They have a couple of other players, Algiers, Mooney. So maybe Atlanta is able to string along some plays that's going to get them in the end zone a couple of times, which will afford them opportunity to get the dub. So I'm going with Atlanta. Gerald, who you got?
Give me the A, Atlanta.
CC?
Yeah, it's the Raiders, man. I got to go Atlanta because it's the Raiders right now. Like I told you last week, I feel bad for Antonio Pierce. I thought he was going to put on a better showing in his debut year coaching, but at some point they decided to tank. I don't know what part that was, but they definitely tanking.
And so when you look at it, right, I wonder, is he going to stick with that or, play around with, as we all know, Dion asked him to draft his boys. Right now, they're looking very likely they're going to be in play for Shador potentially. But do they draft him? Like, is that going to happen? Does Shador go? Because you got to think, if let's say Dion, because Dion did that, let's say Pierce decides to go with that and draft it. And it doesn't work out for them 2 to 3 years because it's going to take 3-4 years in order to see what it's going to look like. Let's say it doesn't work out. Does Pierce end up getting ousted during that time frame, before that time frame, and then it's going to be looked at like why? Or because we all know.
I don't think he has that much time.
No,
I think he got next year, and maybe the year after. I think he got next year. If they come out 2 and whatever next year, he out of there. It's not. You don't have no leeway. If they got to be 5 or 6 wins, or maybe even 7 or 8 next year, in order for him to solidify a job, you can't come out 2 and whatever. I don't know what they're gonna finish this year, but it's not looking good. If he's 2 and whatever at the same time this year, next year, he's fired.
4 years, 3 years.
I always say that because I think you got to give him time to develop the quarterback and play with the quarterback. So I think it's not in the record that you got to take a look at. You got to look at the growth and what they're doing. And seemingly, is it possible that they can sit up and turn this thing around later on? Now that there's something in, I think that's where it's going to have to be at. Because if not, then you just continue. It's a carousel at that point.
Your man said they fired. Look, your man said they fired Peterson when they just won a championship
right after the Super Bowl. And just think about it. So, the Eagles was letting coordinators go during the season. And still had like an 11 or 12 win season. But it wasn't to expectation. So,
do you think the owners? Do you think the owners? I mean, of course, it's your brand. You look at that. And of course, the GM, even you go to the GM as the owner and be like, hey, what are we doing? Or the GM comes to you and is like, hey, I'm thinking about making a move. When the GM goes to the owner and says, I'm thinking about making a move, and the owner says yay or nay, do you think the owner is the most qualified to say that out the rip? Or do you think they should definitely have committees? Like if y'all guys were owners, are y'all putting committees together on these actions, or are you going with what you believe and what the GM is telling you? What's your move?
Man, I'm going. Look, check this out. As an owner, I'm going with the gut right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like a lot of times, what you're seeing right now is GMs putting these coaches in bad situations, right? Whereas it's different, right? Take Chicago. They had a coach before they had a GM. How is that going to work? That's why it's not
Interesting enough,
working.
that's funny because the New York Jets said they're not married to having a GM before they have a coach. It's just so
I mean,
happened
but you
that they're
feel what I'm
interviewing.
saying? But it's not
Yeah,
working. You got to get a GM in place. Unless you bringing in a coach to be like a Belichick and run the whole system. You got to have a GM in place to have his input on what kind of coach you want. What you're getting is these coaches clashing with the GMs. And so one of them are out the door right away, right? Like somebody's going first.
Yeah. eh, Coach before the GM. I don't like it.
okay.
Right?
I don't like it.
It's like you force
Uh,
fed.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think the GM can look at a lot of different things, within the organization. That's needed, where the coach, obviously he focusing on, the X's and O's and things like that, and of course players or whatever. But you need a GM. You need a GM, and a lot of time decisions that the GMs make set the tone for years, to come. When it comes to drafting, when it comes to free agency, when it comes to things like that, we see it. So yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's something that they will have to definitely, have a conversation where it's just not solely, just the owner just, making the calls like, what you see in Dallas, you know,
Yeah.
you know, where,
That's true. Where you see, that's what I was going to bring up. You see
right.
how that's working out for us, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I always use Dallas as a reference when I be in a conversation about stuff like this. Um, I think that's what you don't want to have, especially in today's NFL. It's a little different than back then. So you would need to have an advisory group you know, it'll stop, a lot of things from happening because you get different insight, from different things that help you make better decisions for the organization.
Mhm.
Without a doubt. So, last but not least, as much as this pains me, I have to say, shout out to the Navy shipmen for the victory yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
good
I was
good
gonna say
win
something.
yesterday, Navy.
You
That's
know
why I'm
I was
rocking it
gonna
in
say.
the back.
Go, I know I seen that. I like that. Go Navy. Go Navy.
Go Navy. Oh
They
yeah.
scraped. It's all right. We playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, y'all.
Yeah.
But but we definitely needed to because y'all beat
Look at
us.
Eric.
Y'all
I
beat us
knew it.
last
I
year,
knew
right?
he was gonna say something. Golly.
Y'all beat us last year, right? That
Yeah.
Army Navy game,
Yeah.
yeah. So we needed to get our lick back. We got our lick back. You know,
Yeah. Big Navy. We did that. Yeah.
over time we got more wins than y'all. So
It's unfortunate. We live to fight again.
yes, do.
We play in a bowl game. Hopefully, the quarterback will be back next year. Maybe even the Heisman finalist. We don't know if he does what he did that
Mhm.
this year.
Good.
Uh, so we shall see.
Yeah, y'all definitely had a great season though. Definitely.
Yeah, y'all had a great season.
Uh,
But I ain't trading that dub for nothing though. Cause y'all
oh,
talked a lot of noise. Y'all talked a lot of
Little,
noise
wait,
last year.
oh
little,
yeah.
little victories, little victories. So of
Mhm.
course, saying we greatly appreciate the show to all those that tuned in or will go back and watch it later on. Of course, before we get up out here, we're going to allow Gerald to speak again on his great organization, in which I hopefully, like I said, we have a crossing coming up for Cyro 5 Military Fraternity Incorporated coming up in April, in which we're going to most likely we're going to be in the Atlanta area. So I'm going to probably get my community service director or humanitarian, or one or two or both of them in contact with you.
Okay.
So that way they can be if it's a possibility for the opportunity out there, we can see what can pop off. What would be a better situation if you was already on the said line and then it works out. But
Ah.
I mean, we'll talk about that in any
Oh yeah.
case. Um, but yeah, so matter of fact, Gerald, go ahead and go ahead and talk that stuff. Go ahead. It's all on you.
Okay. Yeah. So founder of Volunteer Vet, also retired Navy. And what we doing at Volunteer Vet, you can see on the screen, volunteervet.org. That's our website. And basically what we do is we're currently fundraising and providing volunteer and fundraising opportunities throughout the country. And lots of different NFL stadiums, MLB stadiums, minor league baseball stadiums, things like that for military and veterans to get involved in. And what we do with such said proceeds is we take those things and we do good things in the communities for veterans all over the country. So if you would like to help us out, or if you'd like to get involved and volunteer, please go to the website. And you can holler at us from there and help support.
Okay.
Eric, watch your mouth, bro. Watch your mouth. See that you're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. So you know what? So you say fundraising. So with this, with the volunteer vet, those the organizations, if any organizations come and they utilize you guys, if they're like working concessions and stuff like that, do they get a portion of the of any proceeds for the for their time earned, or is it go to volunteer vet, being they came under your organization to help that?
Right. So yes, it's yes, and they get a portion, and everything goes through Volunteer Vet because Volunteer Vet is an organization that's contracted with whatever stadium or arena. But whatever organization they enter an agreement with Volunteer Vet, and then they get a portion of the proceeds as well.
So everyone gets a little something. Okay, that's what's
Absolutely.
up. All right, definitely on point. Knowledge is power. So like I said, that's the show for today. Be sure to check out Volunteer Vet, especially for those vets out there, especially other organizations, whether it be military, fraternity, or anything, just an opportunity. If you have an organization and need opportunity to raise funds, Volunteer Vet might be your way to go. Like he said, he's across the country, across the nation to help out them veterans. You know what I'm saying? Coach, any last words before we get up out of here, brother?
Just congratulations to Gerald on your recent retirement, man. Thanks
you
for your service and everything. And Navy all the way, though. I feel that, Chief. Do you think?
Go Navy. Go Navy.
Ooh, yay, woohoo. As Eric says, he's gonna reach out to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so greatly appreciate it. Like I said, of course, like I said, Gerald, I'm gonna be reaching out. Talk, like I said, April, not too far from you, Atlanta, April time frame.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Word. So, like I said, you're gonna be out there. Tap in. Y'all know where to find us. Sundays, it got a couple of weeks left, and then got the playoffs. And then at some point, we're gonna start to make a transition and get down with that round ball, the NBA. I'm ready for those conversations as well when we make that transition to NBA, college, especially the women's game, which me and CC have been taking a little more of an effort. Let's go, Juju! Y'all know I'm on.
Oh, she a beast. Juju a beast.
Yes. You know, so it's actually a few of them. I'm messing with Paige.
Paige Becker. Hey, Paige Beckers is man. Oh,
the Diego, all them. Look at one. So Tawan Smith is one of
our.
But
Hidalgo, man.
Hidalgo's a problem.
About her. Hidalgo is a real problem out there for Notre Dame.
Okay.
So I'm MEB. I'm trying. He said look forward to seeing him there. So I'm trying. So in any case, like I said, it's been a pleasure. Of course, Gerald, chopping up what you heard. I've loved the insight. I might be a Philly fan for the Super Bowl come from. As I told Bishop, I was like, hey.
My God, get this.
I told Bishop, like, hey, you hosted the Super Bowl
already. Oh man.
I was like, he up at the Super Bowl party.
It is live already. Oh, you see this?
Until then, we up out of here. We holler at y'all. Peace. Hit up Veteran, the Volunteer Vet for sure.
All right.